Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with love and honor and wisdom from the infinite creator. Now, um, as a watchman of things and someone who tries to stay in tune with the universe, um, I noticed, and I've spoken about this before, where it seems like there are people who jump onto a certain topic and wish to go. I guess the simplest way to put it would be to go into the fear porn. And here I am talking about the same thing, but this isn't about fear porn though. Now there are people who are use the Bible and different scrolls and texts and things, but what if 3 days of darkness? Let's just discuss what 3 days of darkness could mean to you and me in our current situation in this current day and time. Now, in days of old, when knights were bold, and anyway, there's a limerick about that. But let's consider this. What would 3 days of darkness mean? Does 3 days of darkness mean that there's no sun? Does 3 days of darkness mean that there is a cloud around the planet? Does 3 days of darkness mean that the sun gets exploded or something covers it? Does 3 days of darkness mean darkness in some other way? What if it's spiritual darkness? What if it doesn't have anything to do with the sun at all? What if it doesn't really have anything to do with our planet per se? What if the darkness is in media? What if the darkness is the internet being taken down? What if all major communications went, quote, dark for 3 days? So 3 days of darkness, of what kind of darkness? So I know that there are folks out there who are like, well, we hear this and we hear that and we hear this and that, this and that, this and that. Well, I've heard for several years now that when certain things happen on this planet, there's going to be several days of darkness, but that darkness is going to be in radio communications, television, internet. It's just going to, quote, go dark. Now, there may be some radio stations, I don't know, I'm not sure, but it's been said, what I consider in the underground of things, that, very few people discuss, talk about, or even want to believe. And it's something that I've heard years ago. And I just kind of put it in the back of my head and go, that's interesting. 3 days of darkness, huh? But now, even when they brought it out many years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe even longer, but that these days of darkness would be that the banking industry and so forth would get reevaluated. That we would go from fiat money to something backed money. That the 3 days of darkness would be like everything quiet on the media basis, where people were arrested or taken out or whatever. So, but I notice, and I keep my eyes open, and this is not a prepared in any way, but it is in that my angel messages that come in is like, listen, this is some more paranoia. Now, not to say, now let's just talk about the planet. How hard would it be to turn the earth dark for a day, 3 days? What would that entail? And then if it's only 3 days, then what would move out of the way, or what would make it? So let's just, and I'm kind of getting a little download message right now, channeling, if you will. And it's basically that it would be real difficult on a galactic scale to move something in front of the sun that would make the earth dark. And besides that, even when there's darkness, there is this earth glow. And I've noticed it many times. I've discussed it with other people, and there is an earth glow that has nothing to do with the sun. Just saying. Now, do I believe that something so tragic and so huge in the galaxy that could turn off the sun for 3 days? I'm thinking that maybe that's a stretch. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm saying that's a stretch. I'm saying that let's think about this logically, and that's all that in the messages I get from the universe. It's let's think about this on a logical standpoint. Let's just go through the points. Now, what does that 3 days of darkness mean? Now, it could be that some folks are trying to scare us. They're trying to use Bible prophecy and other things. And, everything is apocalyptic anymore. Everything is Armageddon. We're all going to die. If you watch my videos, you know that I've been speaking about this. And I keep saying, and a lot of other people, let's focus on what's after this. Let's focus on the 1,000 years of peace. Okay? Let's stop with this fear porn, please. Now, thinking about this logically, and just bear with me, please. How hard would it be to block out the sun for 3 days? Do you think that's the most logical? And my brain said, no, let's look for a more simpler that could actually fit 3 days of darkness. Now, way back when in 1812 or something like that, the first time that Krakatoa blew up, it sent plumes of ash and dust and stuff into the sky that darkened the skies for weeks. And for a year, there was like this solar storm that was actually created from one volcano that literally blew up and put itself into the atmosphere. Now, could that cause days of darkness from some type of volcanic blast or something? The answer is absolutely. Absolutely, that could happen. But if something like that and a huge volcano exploded, it might actually last longer than 3 days. Just saying, because of previous reports of volcanoes and things that have already happened that were seen by people, 200 years ago. Well recorded, people around the world, they heard the booms in different places. Now, here's another point to that. Those people back in those days had not a clue what happened. People in Russia heard a loud boom and it went off in the South Pacific, just thinking. And then all of a sudden the skies turn, are cloudy with they don't even know what. Can you imagine what those people 200 years ago thought? I mean, that we barely had the telegraph, so messages were, Pony Express. They were by wagon train. They were on ships. It took days, weeks, months for messages to reach people or another country or something. So it's like, for the information, can you imagine what those people thought back then when Krakatoa went up? And all those obvious days of darkness, and it lasted for a long time. I think it was like a whole year that the entire planet was affected. Temperatures dropped all over the place. Here's the other thing to this. Now, I'm sure that people died, but people die of other things all the time. That it's a shame. It's nature. It's what happens. But to the point, though, mankind made it through that huge volcano that exploded that kept the planet cool for a year and blackened out the sun, and it really did happen. Did the planet die? No, it was adversely affected. There were more storms and snow, and crops died, and the ash fell to the earth. And so, yes, there was a lot of tragic things that happened. But guess what? We're still here after that event. And it was a world-changing event. And yes, people died. Yes, people were affected. Yes, people were hungry. Yes, things happened. Yes to all those. But we, as a human race, are still on this planet after that event and other events. So we got to say, yes, there is stuff going to happen because we live on a planet, okay? Things are going to happen. They've been happening for millions of years on this planet. And in a million years future, there's still going to be stuff happening, okay? Whether we're here on this planet or not, it doesn't matter. The planet's still going to be a planet. The planet's still going to be doing what she does. And whether we're on it or not has no real bearing as to the grand scheme of things. We're just a little dot in time on this planet's history. But now back to the 3 days of darkness. Let's stop and consider, what could this 3 days of darkness actually mean? And all of my contact thingies and all the information I've been getting is that, and I mean for over years, and I broach the subject once in a while, but it's not to like, I don't try to like, oh, let's all be paranoid about this. I'm always saying, be prepared for all events. When they have earthquakes in Florida and southern Alabama, earthquakes in several parts of Georgia, a lot more since the beginning of this year than over several years. So there are things going on this planet. We should just be prepared. Now, am I saying you should build a bunker and stock it for a year's worth of food? That's up to you. But we should all be prepared for eventualities. One of the things that I'm going to continue to talk on is native things that are already here on this planet. Now, for those folks who are up in the snow and everything, it's kind of hard to go out and, forage for vegetables in the dead of winter or 2 foot of snow on the ground. Here's to Bob, the AI, some coffee. And since I was just at a powwow, let's offer Bob some fry bread. Good. But anyway, but to the 3 days of darkness, I would say that the 3 days of darkness, and I would be concerned, and it's not so much that I would freak out. It's that, oh my God, the radio doesn't work. The computer doesn't work. I don't know what's going on. Now I would be more terrified of that versus something's going to cover up the sun for 3 days. Not saying that it can't happen. What if a volcano goes off? That's really possible. Okay. But like I said, if it blocked out the sun for 3 days, or there were 3 days of darkness. Now, let's also consider, what does darkness mean? Now, I've been camping for years, but here recently, a couple of weeks ago out on the Flint River, and there are no lights out there at all. But there is an earth light that has a tendency to light up around. So even in the dead of darkness, I could still see around. No moonlight, no lights around, no headlamp, but I could still walk around without bumping into trees and stuff. I could still find the porta-john kind of thing. And so it's like, but so where is this ambient light coming from? It's bouncing off of our atmosphere. There is an earth light. And so, but now that could very well be because of the earth light is because of all of the lights on the planet. Well, now what if the electricity went off for 3 days? What if that darkness was that? Well, if the lights went off entirely on the planet, well, that could be because of a computer glitch. That would also make sense about, well, okay, so something went down, computer glitch, that affects all types of media and so forth. That could very possibly happen, that it would take 3 days to reboot everything and to get stuff back going. That's very possible. Okay. And it might not be 3 days of darkness on the whole planet per se, but that it will take 3 days to reboot whatever might get, EMP'd or a solar flare or something, And I think to myself, that's possible. But is that anything necessarily to be scared about? Well, this last year we had a hurricane come through that literally ripped the crap out of this area around here, was out without electricity for several days. And we all managed. We all made it. Was it difficult? Yes. Was it a little, blah, blah, blah? Yes. Was it a little, inconvenient? Oh, hell yeah. Couldn't leave because there were trees down everywhere, couldn't even go to town if town had power. We all survived. For a week around here, it was really hairy. Power lines still down across the roads. Some of these small towns around here, they were so devastated. It took them 2 or 3 weeks to finally get power back to everybody. and it was just it was the volume of the lines down, and there just wasn't enough people to do the work. Is that possible? Well, it happened around here just this last big hurricane that came through. So are those things possible? Well, yeah. Could something happen that it would affect the whole earth? Well, if we consider what those possibilities are without some kind of planet or something literally get in the way of the sun. And I'm not saying that ain't possible. I'm just saying that's the least likely. Okay. Now there are people who want to say, but that's the 3 days of darkness, that's going to mean planet X and all these things, and then we're all going to die. Okay. Here we go again with the we're all going to die thing. Anytime there has been a cataclysmic event, we've always survived. I mean, even say, well, what about Noah's flood? Well, guess what? Noah and his family survived. And there are incidents on other parts of the planet that it wasn't just Noah and his family that survived. There were people who survived in different parts of the world. Oh, whoops, we won't talk about that. But we're just going to talk about Noah. So even with the Bible and all of the cataclysmic events that have already happened, all the things over all the millennium of years. Good evening, Melanie. Hi, Pamela. Back again. Supernatural. Good to see you again. But the thing is, let's go back over what are these people doing? Why as soon as I saw it after coming back from my powwow adventures, and I'm looking through the things and I'm doing my, I'm trying to catch up for the last 3 days, what's going on. And all of a sudden, there's more fear porn. And why? You got to keep asking your question. So if I was to listen to some of this, or off they go on some kind of topic about something. Okay, but wait. Let's use our common sense. If I've said before, somebody has to stand up and be the grown-up in the room and just ask very simple questions. Which is more likely? Even if it's a prophecy in the Bible, which is more likely? Is it more likely that a huge planet is going to stop in front of the sun for 3 days and there's going to be no light? Okay, well, that would still mean that we still have power on the planet, so we would still have artificial light, right? So is that darkness? You know what I'm saying? So there's all these different variations of where these people want to come from with this. But my basic thing is that are they trying to sell us fear? Are they unwittingly, there are a lot of things I could talk about and could and maybe should about some of the dreams and things that I've seen and some of the foretellings. They're coming true right now. But if I did that, I would be selling fear. I would be saying, the Mother Mary showed me this in 2013, and this is happening. I'm kind of waiting for the next shoe to drop. I don't want to do that. I have brought it up in little discussions, but I'm not going to make it the topic for an entire video. And, we should all be scared about this stuff. Oh, hell no. My job here is, and it should be our job, is to see beyond that. Oh, crap, here comes a big storm. Well, okay, it's a big storm. Well, automatically, I'm going to think, I'm going to die. I'm going to perish. Everything I own is going to get lost. Or why don't you just hunker down, get this, bring the lawn chairs in as we, did in Florida when a storm came. Bring in the lawn chairs, blah, 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 and make sure there's nothing flying around in the neighborhood and hunker down. Get your candles ready. Get whatever it is. Get your little camping cook gear out that we always had, and I still have. So we just went camping in the house if the lights went out. Big deal. In the storms in the 60s, Donna, Camille, there are all these storms. Was it really close? There were trees that fell on our house. There was a tree that fell and crushed our camper and tore the corner of the house off. If we had not went in when we did, because me and a friend of the family were staying in the camper, it fell right where I was sleeping. It's like, what? It could have been me. It's just like, but to the point though with this, my family, all the people in the neighborhood, as bad as the storms were, we survived. So all this fear porn of all of this, it's going to be tragic. There's tragedy all the time. Let's just consider that. Let's just say 3 days of darkness. I think it very well could be. Maybe it's an EMP. Maybe it's a cosmic jolt that knocks out the electronics, and it takes 3 days to reboot. I think that's fair. And I think that would screw up a lot of people's lives. For me, it would be more about, I would be curious as to what's going on. Not that my immediate situation here would be in any great jeopardy, but I would be more concerned about the rest of the world. I'm safe down here. Turn off my lights. Well, okay. I go get a bucket and draw water out. I've got 2 tanks with 1,000 gallons of water in them each. I'm set. I got food in the pantry. I've got food growing in the garden. I got, I try to be as prepared as possible. I got batteries. I got solar stuff. I got, but here's the thing. And it's all just basic things. I don't have any generators or anything like that. What I do is I have yard lights with batteries in them that I can take out and put in other devices, put dead batteries back out and stick them in the yard again. That's a yard light, and let the sun recharge them during the daytime, and then use them in my lights or something else at night. So, there's some really simple common sense things to do that doesn't freak everybody out. So, but to the point of they're really selling this hard. And Pamela, you brought it up in another chat room with Jen. And it's that, what is with this mess about the 3 days of darkness? Now, I'll just say Pastor, you fill in the blank, has talked about this before. And now it seems like we're back into a loop again that I've talked about before, in that it seems like every so many months, a topic comes back out and everybody loops right back through it. Somebody else brings up something, and then it kind of goes through different channels and places, and then it goes back around in a loop again. So it's like this 3 days of darkness is not a new topic. It's being brought up again. And now I'm doing this video because I want to warn everybody that this discussion has happened before. We're in some kind of loop again. Could it happen? Yes, but let's use our common sense. What could it mean? And what are the serious outcomes personally? The lights could go out, okay? An EMP attack. And I don't mean necessarily from on planet. I mean from the sun. We could get something that comes in that gives us a thingy. All right. A volcano absolutely could go off and wreak havoc to the atmosphere. If the dust particles and things were in the atmosphere, like what happened in the 1811, 12 era out there with Krakatoa, when it blew up, it affected the entire planet. That is still very possible. But does it mean we're all going to die? No. So should we fear this? There are thousands of volcanoes on the planet right now. There are as many as 20 that are active right now, which is a high number, by the way. And so I'm more worried about that one in Mexico City, wiping out all those. There's like 15 million people live around Mexico City and in Mexico City itself. And there's more than that, but I'm just saying, I'm more concerned about those folk. Yes, a big spew into the atmosphere would create havoc. I mean, I remember when Mount St. Helens blew, and there was dust, falling, settling across the United States. It got cloudy even down here in South Georgia. There was one year when there was a bog fire in the Okefenokee Swamp. And I just spent 3 days in the Okefenokee Swamp, and it's nothing but flat and water and stuff. But there was so much smoke a few years ago. It's been 10 or 15 now, but all of South Georgia and northern Florida was covered with smoke. They had fog warnings out. I mean, I walked outside and couldn't see my truck. It was so smoky, and it went on for days. And it was some kind of weird bog fire in the swamp. Now, my point to this is there are all kinds of scenarios of all kinds of events, natural or otherwise, that can give us, a rough day or a rough week or 3 days of darkness, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, We all coughed and sputtered, and some of us stayed home for a day. I mean, you couldn't breathe outside. It was seeping in through the windows. People were turning off their air conditioners because it was pulling smoke into the house. A bog fire in the swamp. Who would have known, you know? But the thing is, most of us are all still alive. Oh, only in the most worst of conditions with people with asthma and things. But that kind of stuff happens even on a good day. But should everybody be filled with fear porn over this stuff? And you got to ask yourself, like Pamela did in another chat, why 3 days of darkness again? Why are they bringing this up? And that's a very good question. That's part of this video. And I'm not trying to say that I know anything or know it all. No, not at all. But we already understand what kind of scenarios could take place. So just plan for those kinds of things. Have some extra batteries, have a couple of good, don't just have one flashlight, have 3 or 4, just in case. I got one 6-volt battery flashlight that I use. I got 3 of them, but I was like this one, and I took it with me knowing that it worked, and I got where I was going and flipped on the light and it didn't work. I have no idea. So I was like, but it worked the last time I used it. I don't know what happened in between times, but now it isn't working. So it's like, I was glad I had a smaller backup. But anyway, but to the point, never just have one. Have a flashlight and a battery for that flashlight, one in it and a backup. Have 2 of them. Definitely have candles. Definitely have a small radio that you put a couple batteries in or whatever, and try to pick up any stations. It's always good to have like a short wave. Get a radio with the short wave bands in it. But that's AM goes a long way. But to the point, though, just be prepared. Just be prepared for any event. And I'm saying, maybe these 3 days of something are going to happen. But in the history of the planet, we've always survived, even Noah's flood. So I'm just not going to waste my time being paranoid over this. And I'm going to pray for these folks. And it's like, why are you trying to spew more fear porn? Isn't there already enough out there? You got to bring it up again. And we are going through a loop. If you go back through some stuff, you'll find out that not a year or so ago or whatever it was, we went through this whole 3 days of darkness stuff again. And some of this stuff is they're just regurgitating what they told us the last time we went through this 3 days of darkness. Okay. The threat has always been there. And if we do have 3 days of darkness starting tomorrow, that's not to say that it'll be the last time we'll have 3 days of darkness, because we live on top of this planet and things are always changing. So it's like, but we just have to be strong and say, listen, well, I know that there are dangers living on this planet. I'm not going to kill myself to leave, and I'm going to do the best I can in the meantime. So let's make friends with the neighbors. Let's do this and that. Let me just be prepared on a personal note. Make sure that me, my family, and at least my close end, we got enough to last 3 days. Period. Well, so what? Well, 3 days of darkness. Yeah, but what? So you're going to turn my lights out for 3 days. I got candles and I got batteries and I got food. I got a gas stove. Okay, so 3 days of darkness. Now, what am I supposed to be paranoid about now? I'm already prepared. I'm not a prepper, but I am prepared. I could go a month if I had to. I could stretch the food that I have. If it meant starving to death, 1 can of food a day will help you survive versus eating 3 cans a day and then run out in 2 weeks. Which would you rather do? 1 can of food and supplement it with a little something? Or, so I already know about these things, but there are other people who like, if I don't get my 3 squares a day and a snack in between each meal, then I'm going to die. Those people probably will. And I don't mean to sound rude, but in their world, in their reality, if 3 squares and snacks in between, if I don't get them, I'm going to die. I know that I ain't going to die even if I don't get but 1 can of something a day. I know I'll survive. Why? It's the idea of the thought of this, but for those people who are so ingrained, 3 meals a day, all of this stuff, the calories, the thingy, the stuff, and you say, well, 3 days of darkness, are you prepared? Are you? Oh my God, they're scared shitless. They're going to die in their reality because their world is going to be interrupted. Now, I did a powwow energy video earlier today, and I'm kind of sort of carrying this powwow energy on all the people that I met at the powwow. If the lights went out for 3 days, it would be an inconvenience, but they'd all make it, and they all know they'd make it. How many folks out there are paranoid? Oh my God, 3 days of darkness. Even if it is a great big planet, even if it is a solar flare, whatever it is, can we make it for 3 days of darkness? I mean, seriously? Or is after the second day, we're all going to go, oh my God, this is it. I can't stand it. It's dark. What about the people on the North Pole who have days and months of darkness? They all live. They all survive. So 3 days of darkness for the rest of us, what is the big deal? I think I'm trying not to watch the chat over there because, I get sidelined really easy. But I think that's probably enough about this on this topic without just droning on about it. But please understand, be the grown-up in the room and just like I just did. Think about the basics of this. What's going to happen? What really could happen? Well, what about Planet X? What about it? They keep bringing it up, but it ain't here yet. Well, now it's supposed to come in 2023. Well, wait a minute. I thought y'all said we could see it now, and it's like coming in now. Well, yeah, but in 2023. Well, wait a minute. It's 2019, 20. Well, that's 4 years away. Well, you told me that 4 years ago that it was going to happen. Now it ain't here yet. And but now it's 2023. Are you people going to make up your mind about trying to scare the crap out of us? Are you people just going to keep on with this recycling stuff? Again, I do think there's a Planet X out there. I think we have a sister star. But do I think it's what's happening to us now? No. There are other things afoot. There are cosmic energies. The planet is expanding. There are all these, yes, they're cosmic things, but they're natural in the long run. We're here now. We're on the planet. So if these warnings of 3 days of darkness are true, then get some more candles and an extra couple of batteries. Learn to, even unless it's pitch black, like in a cave, which I seriously doubt would actually happen. I think the darkness would be like really, really cloudy and, but I've been in caves under the ground a mile and a half back in many caves around here in South Georgia that very few people have ever trekked in. And the thought of my light going out and having to get out of there, when you turn the light off in a cave, it is absolute darkness. Now, with that said, are they talking about absolute darkness? Which, if that's the case, whoa. Or are they talking about darkness from the sun? Are they talking about, and okay, if the sun was blackened out, that would mean we'd still have earthly light. There'd still be a twilight on the planet. So and how should we be scared at all? I think some of us should be downright PO'd that they're bringing this crap up again. They're trying to scare us more. I'm not trying to say that it won't happen, but they're keeping the chaos alive. And these are by supposedly the good guys. That's what bothers me. It's not the bad guys doing it. It's somehow it got from the bad guys, and it's the good guys that are perpetuating, oh, we're all going to die again. Let's agree that we're going to live until it's time to go. Let's live our life to its fullest potential. If we live in fear at everything, if we allow ourselves to be consumed by this craziness, we'll just be crazy. And when it comes time for our higher energy to move into the next dimensions, we're not going to be able to go because our energies are so cloudy, nasty, and not of the correct frequency in order to pass on correctly. We may pass on, but we might have to come back to this, and go through this crap some more, I'm just, some loud ear ringing. Boy, that came in quick and hard. Whoa. Ooh, interesting. So again, thank you, Pamela, for bringing it up in the other chat room, because it was something that here we go again. I'm gone for a few days, doing some dance and flute and meeting and greeting with other like-minded beings. And here they start some more fear porn again. Around and around we go. It just seems like it's an endless loop. It almost seems like to me that it's almost like we went through this before, but there wasn't enough reaction. So it kind of died down and it got quiet. Now all of a sudden they're bringing it up again. It's almost like to see if they're going to get a better reaction out of us. Now, here's something else to consider. What if they're crying wolf? So, this might really happen. Well, then it doesn't. And we all listen and we go, 3 days of darkness, crap. All right, 3 days of darkness, crap. 3 days of darkness and it still don't happen. Then all of a sudden, without a warning, we get 3 days of darkness. And then they try to tell us and we go, screw you. You're just giving us crap again. That's just something, keep that in mind too. So I'm always aware. It's not like I just poo-poo these folks, but when they say, well, the 3 day, and they brought it up again, I still go down my basic list. Okay. Is it the sun? Is it this? We're going to blah, blah. Is the planet going to get transported to another galaxy? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. And should we be scared? No, we should be prepared. Spiritually, physically, and with the understanding that, yes, many people have died on this planet from catastrophic events. Yes, other people will die due to catastrophic events. Easy for me to say. But are we all going to die because of them? The answer is no, because statistically, we're still here. Okay. If it were time, and that when the last hurricane that came over my house, there was a tornado that went over my house and destroyed my neighbor's barn. That's twice in 35 years. His barn was destroyed. It's twice in 35 years that tornado went over my house and didn't destroy me, and could have. I mean, I literally, there's 2 trees down back over here. When you line them up, it was right. The tornado went right over my kitchen, which is right there. So yes, and I was in the house at the time and I heard it and felt it. And yes, it's scary as crap. And 2 times in 35 years, I didn't lose anything, but my neighbor lost a barn twice and they've had to rebuild it now. So my point is I wouldn't have put it back on the same spot for love nor money, but they did. But now it could have very well, I could have gotten hurt. I could have gotten killed. It could have been me in my house or my barns. I was under the damn thing, or it went over me, however you want to look at it. But the thing is, if it had taken me, there would have been nothing I could have done except be prepared spiritually. I want my spirit to be the best it possibly can, because when it comes time for me to make that crossover for good, I want to make sure I can make it. It's not about being holy or better than anybody else. It's being the best I can be. It's making sure that my spirit, my soul, my stuff is as best I can be, and that I try to share that as much as possible, explain it, and do what I do, which is why I'm here with this conversation. So, but the bottom line is that, though, should I be scared? Should I live in paranoia? Absolutely not. We're here to experience things, but we're not here to be scared all the dadgum time. No. Let's be sensible about this. And if you are hit by a tornado or some other cosmic event, be prepared yourself. That's all. Be prepared with your soul and with as much as you can without going crazy around you. Can you last 3 days at the house if the power goes off? Can you live for 3 days without your cell phone? Can you live 3 days without a TV and other stuff? Do you have a book you can read? Do you have a flashlight? Come on, be practical, think about it sensibly, and not let somebody try to hoodwink you into that we're all going to die again. It's just sad. Some of these folks aren't telling us how we can be better people on the other side of these catastrophic events. No, they just keep talking about how we're going to die. Save your soul before you die. Well, wait a minute. What if I don't die? I'm still going to have a soul on the other side, right? Well, then saving my soul before I die, what if I don't die right away? Well, but you should still save your soul. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. Be the best person you can be. Be the best who you are. And, and forget about the rest of like whatever. Do the best that you can do. And now in your own reflection, are you doing the best you can do? You got to be honest, because when it's all about the frequency. If the frequency, and I'm just making this up, if the frequency is 2000 and you only get to 1500, you ain't going. If 2000 or above is like the frequency you need to get wherever it is, and I'm just making this up, but if you can get to 1950, it's not 2000. If the cutoff point of a frequency is such that we can't attain it, we're going to go, almost made it, but going to have to go back and rewind and do it over until we do reach that frequency. Is it our fault? Well, we can have our energy sapped by submitting to the AI that wants to control you. If you believe that you're a part of the matrix of the digital world, then your soul's already gone, in my opinion, and that because you've allowed it to happen. But, so many other different things to discuss, but let's just say 2000 is some kind of frequency thing to get to the next spot. You should be worried about what is my current frequency. Is my current frequency, am I close to 2000? Can I get to 2000? It'd be like 2000 calories a day or something. Can I get my energy to that frequency? But every negative thought that I have is going to drop me down a notch. Every time I have fear porn, that's going to drop my energy down enough. So I could have reached 2000, but then read some kind of fear porn and lose 10 points. Because my energy will drop because I start to absorb it and become a part of it, and I get involved in the chaos. And wait a minute, but I did have it, but I don't now because now I allowed myself to become involved in the chaos. So this is an ongoing thing. But like I discussed earlier about the powwow energies, there are people who've attained a certain point. And no words, it's a look, it's a feeling, it's a smile, it's a gesture. And it's like, I absolutely believe that there are folk who have reached a certain point that you couldn't drag them backwards. Like for me, I'm not saying that I've reached that point, but there are certain things that I understand in my life. You just can't make me unlearn. So no matter what kind of chaos or stuff you throw at me, I'm still going to be confident in what I already know and have already experienced myself. So you can't scare me out of this. But there are lots of people out there who've not had anywhere near the types of experience I have and other people, and that's understandable. I chose this. Other people just choose to be, regular human beings, whatever that means. But to the point, though, they're fearful because they don't know. They've not experienced some cataclysms or something in their lifetime. They haven't had to live like I have on the river with no food or drink for several days. I realized that even if I didn't have anything, I could make it 3 days because I've already achieved that. Now, is that my own preparation for my higher frequency to the next realm? I think so, because I learned a lot during those days. But at the same point, one of the basic things I learned was I didn't die. Oh, but you didn't have enough water. No, I didn't, but I didn't die. Well, you didn't have enough food. No, I didn't, but I didn't die. And well, you were stuck in the temperature was 102 degrees in the shade. Yes, I should have died. Yeah, maybe, but I didn't. So it means that even with the meagerest of things, if your intent is to stay alive, you will be. If you say, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough water, I'm going to be dead tomorrow. Well, then bye. You just made up your mind. You just succumb to what the terror is. But when you understand that it's greater than that and that you are more than that, these things that they throw at us all the time and regurgitate they're trying to drag us back in. Understand that. Keep an eye on it. Now, again, like I said, could 3 days of yes, but the thing is like I've already explained, I'm prepared for 3 days. Do I want it to happen? No. Could other things happen along with that? Yeah. Could other people die? Yeah. There are a lot of things. But the bottom line is I'm comfortable with myself and my own surroundings that 3 days ain't going to matter to me. Okay. Am I going to freak out? I'm going to worry that what's going on, what caused it. And if there is this media blackout and so forth, radios or whatever, then sure, I'm going to be concerned. What the hell happened that created this? But also, I'm going to have enough positive thoughts within myself. If this is the 3 days, I got this. I got it. Oh, but the TV don't work. Well, my TV's blowed up anyway, so that's immaterial to me right now. But the radio, you mean I can't get a radio station? Now, that would kind of flip me out a little bit. You mean all the radio stations are out? Something big's going on. So, but in my own mind, I'd go, well, this means hunker down. So if I don't get a radio station on the line, am I going to be scared? Well, I'm going to be concerned, but I'm also going to know that without a radio station, an AM station somewhere, that means whatever has happened, I need to hunker down. I need to get my own mindset and say, well, don't know how long this is going to last. Don't know what happened. I'm still breathing. I can still see. There's sun out there somewhere because the atmosphere is lit up. So, I just need to make it through. Have confidence within yourself. That's how you survive. When I was down on the river and the times that I was drowning and the times when I was freezing to death, I just kept saying, no, not tonight. No, I'm not dying tonight. No, it's, having stage 2 hypothermia is a bitch at best. And, but I survived that too. So I know that when we put our minds to it, I'm not dying tonight. Sorry. Am I cold? Am I freezing? Or am I chattering? Yeah. Am I can't stop shaking for 2 hours afterward? Yeah. Are all those? Yeah. Could it would have stopped my heart? Not, yeah. But the thing is I chose not to go. I said, not today. That's my own personal intent. When we have that strength of will, if you will, then nothing can get us, nothing can take us, nothing can harm us, and even if we die physically, then that means our spirit, you can't have my soul. I'm a sovereign being and I have rights over my own sovereign soul. You can't take my spirit. You can try, but we're going to fight over this shit. You know what I'm saying? But even in the other realm, if they take my body and my spirit goes, they better already know that Hawkeye's got both fists up. And if you're going to try to take me where I don't want to go, they already know there's a fight going to happen. So they better just allow it. Whatever that is, but that's in my realm. So if y'all can have your own little crazy conversations in your head about that. But the very basic point, stay out of the fear porn. Stay aware. Always keep an eye out. Somebody might have the truth. But when everybody starts repeating this stuff over again, I got to be the grown up in the room and say, this is at least the second time. Wait. They've done this at least 2 times before in the last 5 or 6 years, this 3 days of darkness. Just kind of go back and scan some stuff. You'll see this has come up before, and certain people have brought it up, and some of these same certain people are regurgitating some of this. And I just think it's a shame. I do. Let's talk about positive things. How can we help each other become a better tomorrow? Oh, no, but we're all going to die. So all that energy is being wasted on a negativism when if these people over yonder who are talking about, oh, we're all going to die 3 days, yada, yada, can we please let's take that same energy and channel it to a good thought. Power of prayer, power of thought, power of self, power of intent. Oh, so the power of intent now is that we're all going to focus on 3 days of darkness and we're all going to die. Let's change the paradigm. You and me and the next person can say, you know what? I'm prepared for 3 days. If you go into a chat room and they're all talking about the 3 days of darkness, just say, if you want to be a contrarian, just say, I'm prepared for 3 days. Are you? And just leave it at that. No other comment. I'm prepared for 3 days. Are you? And just leave it. Because when we start putting things out there that, guess what? Okay, throw me 3 days of darkness. I got it. So you can't bring fear into me. Well, but there's going to be 3. Yeah, I got it. I got candles. I got whatever I need. I can make it 3 days. You're not going to scare me. If they go out, I'll be a little troubled. Yeah, I'll worry a little bit. Yes, I'm human, because I won't know what went on, if that part is true. So, but I'm still prepared. And even if I didn't have enough food, I still know that, well, 3 days ain't squat. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people went a lot longer than that. Make sure you got extra water. Make sure you got a little bit of extra this. Understand what it means. Be prepared. Do you have to build an underground bunker? No, I think that's stupid and useless. But, do what you need to do to feel secure. But in the basic reality of things, if you're secure in your own sovereign spirit, you will understand it really doesn't matter what happens out here. Because if you're a sovereign spirit, believe it 100.1%, then you'll know that whatever happens, you can deal with it, you can take care of it, and that the spirit, the cosmos, the universe will help you to find and evolve and change and adapt. That's the word, that we will adapt to whatever the new scenario is. We as human beings, if you want to look at our history and our, quote, evolution, we've adapted to all kinds of stuff. Are we going to die this time? Nope. We need to learn to adapt. Those people who don't learn to adapt, or who are so strict in their lives or their lifestyles or whatever, that those are the people that are going to be hurting. And I'm going to pray for them too, because they're not aware. Well, I get up every morning at 7 and I take a shower, and by 7:30 I've had coffee and toast, and by 8 o'clock I'm at the office. What if that don't happen? Well, I'm going to wake up, and what if your shower doesn't work? Well, what if your alarm clock don't work? Oh my God, well, what am I going to do? But I do this regimen every day, and I run and I do this, and then I have coffee at 11. And does that mean you're going to die? Your routine has been upset? Are you a sovereign being in your own self? Do you understand what your spirit self is? Or is that you're so relied upon this time scale thing that if it's not there, how are these people going to deal with this type of paradigm? And I bring this up because I know someone who for a long time was like, time this, time that, was 10 o'clock. Okay, so what? Yeah, but we were going to do this at 10. It's 1 minute after. But we said we do it at 10. It's 1 minute after. But we said we do it at 10. It's 1 minute difference. But we said we do. Chill. Let's do it now. You just wasted 2 minutes. Now it's 2 minutes past 10. But we said we were going to do it. Now it's 3 minutes past. Do you want to keep on, or you want to go ahead and do this? And there are people like that, and I've met a bunch of them, and I'm on Indian time, and a lot of people just hate that about me. Oh, days on Indian time. There goes Hawkeye again. But, I don't disappear for days. I'm 5 minutes late. Okay, fine. But to the point, though, what did that 5 minutes make any difference to anybody except you and your god dog clock? But it's 5 after. Yeah, but so? But it's 5 after. So? But it's 5 after. So? But it's 5 after. That's all they have. But we should have, it's 5. So let's leave now. It's 5 after. Time. Okay. So people are going to be upset about some simplest things that many of us are like, so is it daylight or is it dark outside? Daylight. Okay. It's daytime then. What time is it? I don't know. It's daytime. Yeah, but how long is it till dark? I don't know. It's still daytime. Usually, I can see the sun. It's usually up here. That's about midday. And now it's like going down over here. Well, I guess in a couple hours, in a little while, it's going to get dark. So our awareness of our surroundings, our natural surroundings, when you're in tune with your own inner peace, your own inner sovereign soul, and when you're in tune with, I keep talking about the universe, the quantum, with creator and all of these natural things, when you understand this, you'll know what time it is. You'll be able to feel it. You won't have to depend upon looking at a watch, and it won't really matter if a 3 days of darkness comes. So we have to look at this practically, basically be the grown-up in the room. What does this really mean? And if it does happen, if it does, just saying, there are lots of things possible. How am I going to cope with it? Do I have food, water, and enough for 3 days? Then go for that. And be confident. Be confident in yourself. Well, if that shit hits the fan, I got this covered. I'm going to have I got 2 books I've got over here on the shelf. I want to read Homer's Iliad again, and the Odyssey, or, I want to reread Chaucer, or who knows, But the thing is that have a game plan. It can be very simple. But once you say, well, if it does happen, I got this. However you deal with it in your own life. But stay out of the fear, please, because that brings your frequency down. People will go, well, I don't know, I'm a pretty good person, and I think, but that they're on this fear porn all the time. And I've met a few people here recently that are they're trying to talk a good line, but they're always spouting the fear porn. And I say, okay, so 3 days of darkness. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Well, I don't know. It's 3 days. We're all going to die. No. Back up a little bit. Come on, back that train up. 3 days. What can you do? I don't know. It's going to happen. Calm down. So what can you do? What are 3 days? Remember the hurricane? Yeah. 3 days without? Yeah. Okay. How did you survive? Well, we had lanterns, and we had some food, and we had we had our little thing. Did you survive those 3 days? Well, yeah. Did you have TV? Well, no, we didn't have electricity. So what, wasn't that a dark period then? Haven't we already been through 3 days of darkness? Just asking. Those of us down here in South Georgia and northern Florida, where the hurricane came through, and I know there was other sections, we went through 3 days of darkness. The sun came out, but everything else was dark. Radios didn't work. TV stations were out. I mean, literally, the towers were down. There was, communications. Several of the radio stations down here in South Georgia, there wasn't power, so they couldn't be on the air. And so it's like, haven't we already been through this? So why am I going to be paranoid now? So I think it's easier and more beneficial for us to help each other get over these crazy chaos that they keep dredging up. Yes, we're all going to die at some point. Yes, we're all going to move into another realm at some point. Now, can I have a few things on my own list to where if Mother Nature throws another curveball, I got this. Unless I'm sucked up into a tornado, I got this. Unless, the wicked witch of the West, unless her house falls on me and kills me, I got this, and be convinced. And really, it's like, how assured of yourself? Well, but, if you've got the basics, you got this. We got this. We need to spread this. Despite what the catastrophe is, we as human beings, we got this. We got it. At least I believe we do. There are others who would disagree with me, and that's okay. It's a freedom of choice. But my freedom of choice says, you're not going to scare me with this anymore. Please. I got this. And like I said, if I do die, time to go. It's important. My own core value and my cosmic energy is such that I can go and I won't get bounced back. My frequency will be as such that I'll be able to make it this time. And I pray that everybody else will too. That is my continuing prayer. So let me put my glasses on and scan through. Y'all been just chatting over here. Revelations. Yeah, I've been reading Revelations a lot. And there's some stuff. Here's one thing, and without going into this, but let me toss this out here real quick. What if every prophecy didn't come true? What if out of 100 we got 98 of them? What if only 90 prophecies came true? If 100 were the score? What if we only got 98 of them? What if we only got 90? What if we only got 2/3 of them? What if we got 3/4 of the prophecies, but the rest didn't come true? Or for some reason we couldn't interpret it right. Now, I've been listening for a long time, and those folks in the Catholic Church, they honestly and truly believe in their own Catholic prophecies that the Whore of Babylon is the Catholic Church. So everybody's looking for the Antichrist when the Antichrist, by definition, is the Pope. So they're looking for other things out there when people within the religion of the Catholic religion already know they're the culprits. So everybody else is looking for all these other things. What if these things are already there, have already kind of sort of happened, or you're looking in the wrong place? But this hasn't happened yet, because your interpretation of Revelations says it should. Well, the United States is the Antichrist, and we're the Whore of Babylon. Really? Go back and listen to some real Bible scholars who have worked and studied in the Vatican, and when they found out the truth, left the church. Who would you believe? Would you believe somebody that's, well, I got an ET contact and they told me such and such? Or would you believe somebody that studied in the Vatican for 10 years? Just asking. I would trust the person from studied in the Vatican that says, I can't be a part of this anymore. I have to tell you this story. And guess what? The Catholic Church is the Whore of Babylon. And the Catholic Church is touched in everything. When all of those weeping and when they see her and, the Pope, everybody goes and kisses his ring. Guess what's happened in the last 10 days? The Pope won't let him kiss his ring. Something has happened. The cardinals took away some of his little popey powers, and he's not allowed to let people kiss his ring anymore. There's stuff going on that people don't know about, but they're wondering. So in Catholic prophecy, this idiot that's the mayor of Rome right now, who calls himself the Pope, and I refuse to use his Pope name because he's Bergoglio. He's not actually a Pope. He is a vicar of the Vatican, but he's not the Pope. Ratzinger's still alive. He's still the official Pope. When this idiot that took over, this Jesuit, who the Catholics threw out of the church 200 years ago, has somehow crept back in and is now the leader of the Catholic Church. See, y'all need to do your homework about the Catholics and the popes and the things like that, because people who don't understand, and being raised a Catholic, I got this stuff shoved in my mouth, ears, nose, and other orifices that I didn't appreciate. So what if, in your viewpoint, the prophecies hasn't come true? But what if, in like the Catholic Church's prophecy of itself, it's already coming true, and these things are already being fulfilled in so many ways? Are we there yet? Maybe not in your interpretation, but what about all these other people who are Bible scholars who studied in the Vatican's sacred scrolls that most folks don't ever even get a chance to go see where they're located, let alone read them? I would beg to differ and say, I think I'm gonna listen to these people. Am I gonna believe it? I'm gonna at least listen. And there are people out there who are the quote Protestant non-Catholics who are like, oh no, this is going to be that. The whore of Babylon is this, and we're the whore of the United States is the whore of Babylon, and all this and the prophecy, and it ain't got nothing to do with the Catholic Church or the Vatican or nothing. And I'm like, oh boy, okie dokie. So these people are still waiting for things to happen when in other realms and realities they've already taken place or they're already present. So you go, well, but this hasn't come true. Not in how you were told or what you think or what you think you believe, but what if it's already taken place? What if there's another temple that's been built? And I bring this up now. What if it's the New Jerusalem and there's here and this and the other kind of thing? What about this? The Mormons just opened a temple, not church, temple near the Vatican. Just the last couple of weeks ago, I kind of spoke about this before, but the Mormon groups came together, had this big thing about their church being so why are they even building one over there to begin with? Mormons, Church of Latter-day Saints. And then right a week after they opened up the temple officially, then the Mormon leaders all went and kissed the ring of the Pope. Why? They bowed down to the Pope? Do you know when you kneel and kiss a ring that you are pledging sovereignty? That you're pledging to this person in the ring? Besides, we don't know where that ring's been. You know what I'm saying? But to the bottom line is that they did it. What if that was the temple that's supposed to be built? Well, it's supposed to be built in Jerusalem. Yeah, but what if the New Jerusalem or something? What if that's the Vatican? What if this other thing and the temple that was built wasn't necessarily by these other people? My point is, temple was in the news. Big time church thing. Big time next to the Vatican. Big time kiss the ring, the Pope's ring. Big time temple, Mormons, Latter-day Saints, blah, blah, blah. But we shouldn't pay attention to that because it wasn't in Israel. Just stop and think. Look at the headlines and go, what if that prophecy has come true, but in a slightly different slanted way? What if all these things, what I contend, we're 3/4 through Revelations and maybe even further. What if some of these things have already happened that people are still thinking it's going to come, what if, because in your reality, you don't see it, but what if in the big picture, it already has or is in the process of happening right now? Can you see the bigger picture? Can you say, well, I don't know, my studies of the Bible? Yeah, but I just have to ask this question. Were you raised a Catholic? And you say, well, no, I don't know anything about the Catholics. Then I know about Protestants. If you don't know about the Catholics, then you need to be quiet and go study first. Then come back and have a chat with me. Because I first studied Catholics and then I studied other religions. I grew up a Catholic, said, ain't having it. Let me study some of these others. So I have a background in it, but other people, Protestant and other than Catholic, who wish to quote the Bible to me and say, well, but you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, but you haven't studied Catholic religion, Catholic doctrine. Who's holding all the sacred scrolls? They're not in Israel. They're in the Vatican. Are they something? They're in the Vatican. So, but you're going to go over here and you're going to listen to Billy Graham, who used to go and visit the Pope and kiss his ring. Because even Billy Graham, the great Billy Graham, was subject to the Vatican. All religions are subject to the Vatican. So people, the Revelation's this, the Revelation's that. But have you really studied what's going on? Have you considered the Catholic point of view on this? That all religions go back to? All religions began from some type of Catholic kind of, thing? Have you even considered it? In my realm, I do, because I was raised Catholic and then I study these other things. But if you're the Protestant who's never studied about Catholics, I'm sorry, but you can't have the same conversation that I can, because you don't understand. You don't know. And I'm not trying to pick on you, but if you can't have the same conversation as me, because you don't know where Catholics are coming from, nor the doctrine, nor the history, nor etc. Just saying, am I better than you? Nope. But I got more information than you do because I was raised Catholic. Okay. I'm not going to beat that up anymore. But for those, and for those, I'm saying, go study some Catholic doctrine. You're going to be surprised. It might be that you look at Revelations in a totally different way and go, oh shit, the Catholics are right. They are the whore of Babylon. Oh my God. And then you'll see that we are in Revelations. We're here. But it's time for us to focus on what happens next. It's the 1,000 years of peace, my friends. We've got to focus on that. We've got to stop focusing on these negative energies. We've got to stop playing into the chaos. 3 days of darkness, big deal. 3 days of darkness, big deal. I got candles, I got books, I got stuff, big deal. Lord, Creator, you going to give me 3 days of darkness? I'll take a long nap. Big deal. Am I going to, not big deal. 3 days. Okay. I got this. We got this. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, if you want to think about the Great Flood and if that were true or not. But to the point, 3 days, 40 days, 3 days, 40 days, we got this. Think about it practically. Breaking Dawn, I see you joined here, hanging out. Wow, Dave, yes, the revolution happening, trumpets, so to speak. Absolutely. Pamela, if you really get a wrench, your name turns blue. I'm just kidding around. David has no mods. I don't know how to do it, Pamela. There are other people who've wanted to be mods, and I'd be happy to give you a wrench. I really don't know how to do it. Honest to goodness, I'm not lying about this. Candles in elevation above 500 feet. Terry, that's true. Now, I'm at about 300 feet, and I was told 2. But to the point, 200 feet, and I got a boat, But supernatural apocalypse equals unveiling. Exactly. The apocalypse is the unveiling. What does Revelations mean? Revealing. So people is like, not high enough, Cherry. Well, I got a boat. That's my point. The trumpet sounds is the groaning of the earth from a slow slip and other things. It's expanding. Now, this idea of slipping and stuff, you got to understand the earth is expanding. I was listening to Linda Moulton Howe earlier this evening, and everybody goes back to this idea of Pangea, and everybody's pretty much good with it. And they go, oh, the Pangea, we're one big continent. But then they don't say, well, okay, so how come we're all separated? The earth expanded. But then they go, but the earth can't expand because well, wait a minute. So on one side of the coin, you say Pangea, you believe we were one big continent. Now you say, but the earth can't expand. Why? Well, because that don't happen. Well, then how did we break apart? How did Pangea become all these continents? Well, I don't know, but the earth is not expanding. But then how do you explain it? Well, I don't know. That's a mystery or something. No, let's stick with this. The earth is expanding, period. Cosmic energies, the Schumann resonance, the earth is expanding. It's not slipping under and going around. It's side by side. They're making a lot of this shit up because they really don't know. They think they do. Oh, the mountains were pushed up underneath from the Pacific. Oh, give me a break. The earth split open. There was a lot of stuff to those big mountains. Guess what? There's volcanoes around them, and it was pushed up. Oh, but this plate did that. But then, wait a minute. Then doesn't that still mean there's something else going on? Then why are the plates slipping? Well, but if the earth was just kind of calm and everything, no, then what's causing all this? Well, that's going under it. But why? The earth is expanding. They don't take the next step. Why are all the slipping here and it's doing that? Yeah, but why? Well, because the earth, but why? Well, I don't know. It's just what earth. Yeah, but the earth is expanding and things are moving around and GPS and the earth is wobbling. Yes, there, but yeah, okay, but it's causing the slipping in the thingies. But I'm here to tell you, they have been trying to sell us on some of this garbage for years. Oh, this is going under here, or that's doing that. They really don't know. So I'm trying to be the adult in the room here, and I'm not trying to poo-poo y'all's things. In that we have been lied to about so much stuff. It's like, for example, the carbon dating technique they use has been flawed since the day they started using it. So something that's 1,000,000 years old might only actually be 1,000 years old. Just saying. A lot of the things about space, they've been lying to us about that. Science. I've studied science. I've been inside mountains. I have crawled in crevices into caverns inside the earth. I've seen the inside of the earth from different locations: Florida, Georgia, Alabama, North Georgia, Tennessee, the Carolinas, North Carolina specifically. I said Florida. Okay, Arkansas, Missouri, I've been in the ground over there. In Kentucky, I've been in Mammoth Cave. So caves have been one of those things that I've always been interested in crawling around in. And I've been in some that very few people have ever even know exist to this day. And I've spoke about it in other videos, but to the point though, when you've been in the earth, when you've seen things, when I don't know, it's an experience. And then you listen to these scientists who've never been inside a cave before, who spouting all this stuff about how much they know about volcanism and all this. And then when it comes to light, they really don't know crap. Everything is a hypothesis. So, but then they say, well, the hypothesis is, and then they tell everybody because someone had this hypothesis that now it is somehow magically turned from a thought process into fact. Every time I go back in to look at something, it always started as a thesis. Well, but now what about this? Well, now it's fact. No, you're still basing the same premise that you're trying to cram down my throat now. It was still a thesis and an idea. You still haven't really proved it. You're just compounded and expounding on the same thesis you started this conversation with. You haven't proven a damn thing. You just keep repeating the same stuff, and after a while, we all believe it. I believe that there were only 12 moons around Saturn. Now there's 79. Where'd the rest of them come from? Let's go over this stuff some more, but I'm not trying to make anybody angry about this. I'm just trying to point out there is more to this story than they even know, because the explanations of what they give don't fit the parameters of stuff going around. When, I've studied the uplift, I've studied this and that. Some of it's true, some of it's possible, some of it's just plain old brainwashing. What's explained is if the earth is expanding, then oh, wow, there's more earth. Ooh, there's more of this. Things get displaced, things go underwater, things pop up out of the water. Let's just remember that. They think they know all the answers. It's squat. Just remember. I wouldn't trust a man whose name's is Telescope Lucifer. Oh, thank you very much, Pamela. Mine's name is Sweet Tea. Cherry says the CMEs happen, Earth expands, and tremors happen. That's exactly right, Cherry. I watch the forest fires start as soon as hot spot shows up. Right. And let me bring this up too. I know this is a, I had no idea I was going to speak on this for an hour and 20 minutes already. But that when I went to the powwow over the weekend to get some sage, many of the vendors were saying how scarce sage is right now. So it's me. I got to ask the question: why? The fires in in California and in other places have burnt down where the best places for some of this white sage to grow. It's burnt the sage, the trees, the undergrowth. It has ruined the ecosystem where this particular white sage grows predominant. It's like the best, it's the bomb. And now people in California and other places are like, now what are we going to do? This type of sage is a sacred herb of Mother Earth, and now it's been destroyed. They're already talking where I was buying sage for $2.50, it's now $10 a bag. And they're saying within several months, because these people have already purchased sage, if they were to buy it, try to buy another batch, they're going to pay twice as much. And that by this time next year, a pound of sage will be $80 because it will be so scarce. It's not, it's because it's so hard to grow certain things. It's like you can't grow oranges in Ohio. You just can't, unless it's in a you know, a greenhouse or something, and the right kind of soil. You know, oranges love sandy soil, you know, Florida, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and certain things won't grow in certain places. I mean, there are certain fruit trees won't grow down here in South Florida, I mean, South Georgia, because it doesn't get cold enough. We don't have enough cold days. Apples don't do well down here, you know, but we grow a lot of pecans, or pecans, as the real name is. But to the point, though, so there are already people that I talked with just yesterday and the day before about what are we going to do when there's a shortage of sage. And they can't just replant the sage because the understory's gone. All of the plants and all of the other things that made that area what it is and was is gone. The canopy, the ecosystem. So there are folks who are really scratching their head going, now what are we going to do? Now they're already I was shocked, surprised, happy, and a little saddened as well, but looking for alternatives already. If there is a sage shortage, what do we do to use as for smudging? So every area, each area of the United States and of the planet, really, but Creator gave sacred herbs in each area. So if you couldn't get sage in your area, what was sacred in Florida or Georgia or Alabama? And one of the things that was explained, that evergreens were Creator's way of saying when the great storms and freeze came, Creator said, not all trees are going to die, not all trees are going to lose their leaves, and that all conifer trees, pines, Scotch pines, you know, junipers, the berries and the leaves, that these can be substitutes for, excuse me, for sage. Because people in Southwest Georgia didn't know sage existed in 200 years ago, but they were burning something to smudge with. So there are alternatives, and the Native American community is already working on solutions. We're going to find sweetgrass. We're going to find more of this. We're going to find more of that. They're already looking because they understand that, well, we could just say, well, the sage is going to be gone. Now what are we going to do? Well, I'll never be able to smudge again. Well, but maybe we can use a different, well, it's not the same kind of sage, but it's sage, and it can be grown in other places. Is it a substitute? Well, if we can't get the real thing, it's going to have to do. If I if I smudge with green pine needles, does that mean that, well, my prayer isn't any good because I'm not using sage? It has more to do with intent. But the evergreen type trees are sacred trees. So the leaves, the dried leaves and so forth of these trees can be and are as sacred if used properly and as a substitute, So in this one thought mind, only sage will work. Guess what? It's not. And the Native American community's already on it. Going to be interesting to see how this turns out. But to the point, nature, whatever, however it got took out, we are going to survive it. That's what the answer was. Well, if we can't get sage, we're going to have to rely on these other means. So they're freaking out. That's going to be really bad if that happens, but we're going to use this then, and then we're going to use this. It's bad, but then there were 5 or 6 solutions to that's bad. So bad thing, okie dokie, 5 solutions. Am I focused on losing sage? Well, I'm focused on 5 solutions. I'm looking at 4 solutions, not focusing on the fact that it may dry up, or there isn't enough, or whatever the consequence. Now, we'll see. But to the point, though, if we only focus on the negative part of it, it's going to be gone. Why don't we look for solutions? There are solutions. Creator gave them to us, but are we paying attention to them? Just asking. Just saying. It's going to take a little bit more effort. But are we going to survive it? Probably. Geothermal greenhouses with oranges in Nebraska. Yeah. But the thing is that it also has a lot to do with the soil. It's not just climate. It's the soil. They love the sandy thing and stuff. But anyway, you're growing bananas. Yep. I grew other sage in my garden. Yeah. When in talking with the folks this last weekend, this one lady, she's like, listen, me and these other clan mothers, we've been trying to grow white sage and you just can't do it. We tried it down here. We tried it over here. We've gotten seeds. We've transplanted plants and it doesn't like to grow anywhere but there. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. If it is Pamela says, if it is revelation, it's forced by them string pullers. Yep. Well, I don't know necessarily is that it's forced. It's just that we're already here. It is time, cosmically and otherwise. But the forcing part of this is those folks who don't understand what the Catholics know. They got shit and secrets the rest of folks don't know. But when you understand that, though, it's like, whoa, there's more of the puzzle picture. You know what I mean? It's time to grow the garden of being over again. It's actually already here. We just don't know where it's at. They won't tell us. But anyway, that's a little. Sherry says, whenever there is seismic activity, there is storm activity. I'm following it. More flooding coming. Yep. And Cherry, I saved seeds too, but the seeds I saved from last year, none of them came up. None of them. And they were still in the packets. I kept them in a good place. None of the seeds from last year came up this year. Just saying. I collect the volunteers too, and that's one of the things that I'm ticked off about. I saved the seeds from my mullion plants. And the seeds I put back out there, none of them came up. Not happy about that. I'm really not, because I collected the stalks, I got the thingies, and I'm like, springtime came, I put them out there, and it's like, what? None of them came up. And I had handfuls of seeds. None of them came up. Just don't know what else is going on. They came up in the same place 4 years in a row. I put the seeds back in the same place. Not a nothing. So just surprised the crap out of me too. The greens they say that would grow in my garden, but it did in sandy soil. Yep. So it's not to say that we can't, but you got to look at where the natural plant lives. And I got a lot of clay around here, so orange tree ain't gonna work. But can I go get some sandy soil from the river and mix it in with the clay to get a better consistency that's more like what the plant likes? Yes, I can duplicate and do things. Yeah, you had to start with a live plant. So there are things you can do. Yes, yes, yes. But people just think, well, I'm just going to get a seed and throw it in the ground and I'm going to have stuff. It don't work that way. It really doesn't. I wish it were true. But climate, conditions, the zone you live in, all of that is absolutely has a lot to do with it. But we should do a gardening show because I've got stuff out in the garden. I've got two different kinds of collared up that finally came up at this year's seed. I've got several rows now of spinach up. I've got a couple of small rows of carrots. The potatoes I put in 2 weeks ago are like up this high. I mean, I was been gone for 3 days, and where they were just barely poking out of the dirt, they're up this high. They've literally grown 2 inches in the last 3 days while I was gone. So my taters are looking like absolutely great out there, and I still got some more to plant. And I got more things to plant in the garden as well. But this year's seed was the only seed that would come up so far. I'm very disappointed in that because I've got some other wild seeds that I've planted, special beds, keep an eye on it. Nothing's come up. And that's not encouraging, because I like to be able to do the same thing like you, Cherry. And I take, last year's seeds. If there's a medicinal plant or something, I try to keep it, replant it, save its seeds, or cut the seed stalk off and put it in the ground right where it was. So next year, more of them will come up. And I've had great success with this over the years on other different plants. And the mullein one was doing good until this year. I've only got one plant where last year I had a dozen by this time. So I'm hoping I have a better season with the mullein. But anyway, blessings to all of you. You're growing taters in buckets. I did that last year as well. It does work. Yes. Make sure that bugs don't sneak in the bottom. They did that to me. I had a couple of holes just for the water to drain out. And unbeknownst to me, some little ants had got up in there, and I went to dump the bucket out, and it was full of these tiny ants, and there wasn't a potato in there one. The plants looked good. I dumped it out, said something's just wrong. And I was like, oh my goodness. So whatever got in them tiny little holes, they infested it was a large bucket, yay big around. And I was disappointed out the yin yang. But insects have been my primary nemesis these last 3 years. I mean, just insects, you just wouldn't believe the amount of worms on stuff, with different colored worms, different kinds of, oh my God, the worms. But anyway, so I gave away a tomato plant yesterday. I've got some pepper plants I still need to transplant. But I'm going to keep on trying, never give up. One good pepper is better than none. And if it's my tomato, my potato, my whatever it is that I grew in my ground with my chickens and my manure and my, I know that there's no glyphosates in my ground. I know that, over the last 30 years, I know what I put in my ground. It's all organic. I don't use any chemicals or anything like that. Now I have used some 10-10-10 fertilizer, but that's about as far as it goes. But I've used granular fertilizer, sometimes some Miracle-Gro, and spray it on my plants or pour it. But as far as any other type of chemicals, not in my garden. That's why I have bugs, but I won't use any pesticides or anything. So, but understand 3 days of darkness. Let me bring this back around. 3 days of darkness, we can make it. 3 days of darkness, we can do this. As they say in prison, I can do this standing on my head. What? You got 3 months? I can do that standing on my head. 3 days of darkness, we can do this standing on our heads. Let's stay out of the chaos. Keep an eye on it. Always understand Mother Earth is going to be throwing stuff at us. And until Mother Earth, until this planet dies itself, there's always going to be changes. And even in the death of the planet, there will be changes. It won't just die. It will just morph into something else. So understand the greater things. We're just going to morph into something else. If we choose to die, we're done. If we choose to live, I'll see you tomorrow. So Breaking Dawn would like to get some knowledge about planets. Yep. Yes, fire ants are a pain. They ate my garden down there too. Yes. No problem like that here. I forgot where you're at, Cherry. Would love a gardening show. Yeah. Now that I got stuff up, I was out there earlier, but it was raining. I'm like, well, okay. So in the next few days, if I get a chance, I want to take you through what my garden looks like right now. I got tired of fighting those fire ants. Oh, they're a pain. Two things. One, urine. They don't like urine. Okay, so I collect my own urine, and if the fire ants get too close to something, pour the urine on them. The other thing is coffee grounds. Don't know why. They don't really like tannin or the tannic acid. Excuse me. But coffee grounds, usually, tomato plants and other things kind of like coffee grounds. So, but the ants don't. And if there's a mound or some ant start, I'll take my coffee grounds right out of the kitchen and walk out there and go, okay, where'd that ant pile? Oh, there they are. They're trying to start, and dump that coffee grounds right on top of the ant bed. They'll move. Now they might only move this far away, but they, and if I've been chasing fire ants around this place ever since I've been here, but I've noticed that, coffee grounds and those kind of things, fresh coffee grounds. Now, I mean, don't wait a day or two. No, while they're still coffee kind of damp, and go chunk them on a fire ant bed. Another thing too about fire ants, if you've got one bed over here and I don't know, 30 feet away, there's another fire ant bed. I tried this years ago and it worked, and I'm going to do it again. Things haven't quite evolved around there, but fire ants are moving into my garden and we fixing to fight. But you can take a small shovelful of fire ants from one mound and take them to another. So I dig a fire out, a little shovelful, ants crawling on. That's what you want. You want to dig down into that bed and get them fire ants. You take them fire ants and put them on another bed. Take some of the fire ants from that bed and take them back to the one you just stole from, and the ants will kill each other off. It's pretty dang. Now, here's the caveat with that. Fire ants have a queen that's down inside the earth that can literally be 20 foot down. So this mound and this mound may be the same ants. Maybe not. Now, I can go up the hill, and I know dang well and good there's a fire ant mound up there that ain't the same that's down here in my garden. It's too far away. But there are two in the garden, one on this end and one on this end. They may be of the same queen. So I'm going to go up the hill and get the fire ant mound up yonder and bring it down here and let them little bitches fight it out amongst themselves. And I have been sorely surprised at, I went out there, I did this about 2 years ago, and instead of finding fire, there were just huge a mound of dead ants. Don't know whose they were, this mound, that mound, but let me tell you, they fought it out. And this one mound, it didn't come back for several years. This year, I noticed is kind of sort of back. So, but the one up by my well, I don't like to put any kind of poisons or anything around them, And so I've used this fire ant technique of taking some from one mound to the other and let them fight it out. It's amazing. Let them do it themselves, I don't want to put poisons in my ground, no. But so will I let the fire ants? Oh, yeah, let them fight it out. So hello, Marie. Haven't seen you there in a while. I hope everything is well in the land down under, and that you're doing as well as possible. Let's see. Goods. Oh, Starbucks likes to give them away. You talking about coffee grounds? Yeah. There are a lot of places you could get them, but try to get them as fresh as you can. I've noticed what I did one time, I've got an old coffee can, and for 2 or 3 days, I'd put my grounds in it, and then I would take them out. That wasn't near as effective as using fresh grounds within a day or two and putting them right on the beds. Just saying. I would be interested in how it turns out in your world, kind of thing. But I'm all along the side of my house down here. They've been trying to creep in the house. One reason why I put a concrete path the length of my house was to keep them from literally coming through the concrete and making beds in my wall, like right there. And but to keep them out of it, I've been using coffee grounds for years and urine. So it's easy for me to collect. I'm an old man. I got a bottle that I pee into. But the thing is that they don't like that mess either, whether it's the urea or whatever. Now, I'm not going to pour it right on a plant, but I will pour it near a plant. And I know that my PP or whatever, I've got toxins in it and stuff. So, but at the same point, I would rather pour my own urine on something than to go to the store and buy a poison and put it anywhere around my plants. I'd much rather have my own urine. Not that I'm into that. That's not my point. But, I'd rather it be my own bodily fluids than something else that I don't have any idea where it come from. At least I know what I put in my body, and so I can control that part. So, but anyway, so with that said, there are many things right now. I know that there's there's going to be April snow in the middle of the country this year, and them poor folk are getting their ass whooped. And the rest of us need to make sure that we've got some kind of victory garden. Plant something in a bucket, plant something somewhere, and Cherry, the rest of us, back in the day before World War II, back in the day of the bad times and everything, everybody had a victory garden. In town, people had, if you'll grow this, I'll grow that. And then the two families shared. I mean, victory gardens. We just don't do that anymore. Even down here in the South, people just don't have time to put in a garden. And it used to be that's the only thing they wanted to do. But now they're going to watch Netflix and etc. They don't have time for this, but they got all this movie time. Just saying. And I realized that, it's important that I do garden time for all of the above reasons, putting my hands in the soil, feeling Mother Earth, being next to nature, and growing my own stuff, when the seeds come up. So I love you all. I do. Cherry, more snow coming. Yes, absolutely. Crockett's Victory Garden. Yes, that was a good show. Back on PBS in the day, Cherry used to watch the Victory Garden, and that old gentleman, he kind of sort of had a beard like me, and yeah, and let's go over here and see what's in the Victory Garden. Absolutely. But to that point, though, there are a lot of things that we can do. And you say, well, I don't know, do I have time? If you take 10 minutes every single day and do a certain thing, it's amazing what you can actually achieve. And remember, it's the small things we do. So, and just the effort, just well, maybe it didn't grow right, but I tried. Well, then try again. Don't give up. Maybe, I didn't, whatever. It's important that we try, because when we grow things out of Mother Earth or however we do it, it's also nurturing, and we're growing our own energies. There are people that have house plants and stuff, and they're like, I got house plants all over, and some of these house plants have been here for 20 years. I finally had a couple that actually died out on my stairs, and I'm sad to see them go, but they've been there for 20 years, vining all over and hanging down like a garden in here, and it's like, but now I'm looking, I really miss it. I need to put something else in there. There's something about the green in the house, and the adding water and talking to the plants, and it's cathartic. It's good. It's all that other stuff, but it's also helps with the energy of the world and of the planet. So everything we do is important. Cherry, it's amazing that we get hungry. Makes a difference than when we have to choose. Absolutely. And one of the things is, like, when I realized how much I ate over the weekend, I didn't really have that much, but that's not the point. I really wasn't hungry, and I ate a little bit, and I was content. And so it's like, when we focus on, oh my God, we don't have enough food, then we starve. I guess I'm not that diplomatic. Yep, there we go. All right, blessings, my friends, my dears, my lovelies, my absolute dearest compadres in this wonderful league of like-minded beings. Keep up the good work. You all are doing marvelous work. And thank you for your support. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for giving a damn about the world. I mean, seriously. For each of us that we've changed our minds, we are changing other people's minds and thoughts in an honest, positive way. We don't have to beat anybody up. We just go up and say, we can do this differently. Let's join hands together. Let's join our hearts together. Let's join our minds together and understand we are making a difference. Let's keep up the good work. We can't give up. Well, we could, but that would just be, fruitless. So, Breaking Dawn, Marie, Pamela, Cherry, and I don't know who else I'm missing. I do love you all. Thank you so much for your time and your efforts. And I do mean that what you all are making a difference. Every single one of you. Understand that. Believe it in yourself. Well, I don't know. Melanie, there you are. Every one of you, you make remarks. You're helping to change the world. We are making a difference, my friends. Don't forget that. Remember, keep it up. Because, even though it's subtle, the change is here. So with that, I will say, I'm making an herbal meditation garden. That's wonderful. Hawkeye, you are sweet. Love you and all listening. Thank you, Melanie, as always. Night. Okay, so closing prayer. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the wisdom of the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the wisdom of the universe. I continue to pray for peace upon this earth, peace upon beings upon this earth and in all other realms. I continue to pray for you, for your friends, your family, that we will all continue to accept and receive the healings, the wisdom, and the knowledge of the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, will continue to spread these simple things. Be kind, be sweet, be compassionate, and above all, keep your own self-worth. You are a sovereign spirit being. You can't give that up unless you willingly do so. So with that said, hugs, cosmic hugs from South Georgia. If you know what this means, you're a part of the cause. I love you all. Continue the hugs. And until next time, keep up the good work. TTFN. Ta for now. Easy for you to say. Ta for now, my friends. Prayers and love always. Till next time, Pamela, Cherry, Marie, and Melanie and Breaking Dawn, and I forgot who else was here. So, but blessings and love until next time. This is Hawkeye Two Feathers saying cosmic hugs. Oh, and John, there to you also. Yes, missed you. Okay, blessings until next time. Bye, you all.